I can't believe I'm sitting down and reviewing a 2D Mario game, and I'm actually excited for it. Because, let's be honest, 2D Mario games have been quite stale. I mean, you have the amazing games, obviously Mario 1 is so influential, Mario 3 is my favourite, Super Mario World, fantastic game, and then Mario DS came out and that game was just amazing, especially for me because I was the target demographic for that game because I was like 8 when that game came out and I just loved playing it. But then Mario Bros. Wii came out, pretty much the same game. Mario Bros. U came out, pretty much the same game. And then they ported that game to the Switch and of course, pretty much the same game. But now Mario Wonder is out. My copy came one day early and I've already beaten the game and I'm going for 100%. And this game is absolutely everything I could have asked for. The best place to start is the aesthetic because New Super Mario Bros. DS looked fine on the DS. New Super Mario Bros. Wii looked fine. And then New Super Mario Bros. U also looked fine, but they were all, kind of bland, especially after 3 games using the exact same art style. And then the trailers dropped for Super Mario Wonder and everything was super expressive. You had the characters kind of always looking at the camera that gave it just a different perspective. There were shadows behind the characters on the backdrop so they stood out more. And all in all the animations were slick. When you go into a pipe, Mario grabs his hat and brings it with him. And he kind of shimmies and climbs into a pipe. And just so much love and care poured into every single aspect of this game on a presentation standpoint. It looks beautiful. The animations are beautiful. It's so colorful. And then the music is fantastic. But from a presentation standpoint, this game is honestly, I think, flawless. The new enemy designs are so cool and they actually have useful mechanics in the levels too. There's one enemy in the later levels that I won't show, but he's a food item and I just love him. They did a really good job setting this game apart from the others, since it's set in a different kingdom and there's new characters. There's Poplins, which are kind of the toads of this universe. And then you have Prince Florian, who's like this little worm guy, and he's just really cute, and he follows you around. And going back and playing the new Super Mario Bros. Games, I think the thing that was missing is that, yeah, they're fun, they're fine platformers, they feel good to play, but your eyes and ears aren't engaged the same way they are in Wonder, because every single level had something cool. Either it looked cool, or it had a cool mechanic, or it had a cool piece of music, or a cool set piece that just constantly had me looking around. Oh, what's going on? Oh, that looks brilliant. Oh, he's really cute. Oh, this is really fun. But it kind of reminds me of a 3D Mario game, where I've always preferred 3D platformers, especially Mario. 3D Mario is some of the best games ever made. And one of my favorite things about them games is that you don't really know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to be around the next corner, whether it's going to be a new power-up, whether it's going to be a new enemy, whether it's going to be just this absolutely fantastic level that you get to explore that has a cool set piece, or in the case of Mario Odyssey and Mario Wonder, I don't want to show off too many of the wonders, but the wonders sometimes act kind of like Mario Odyssey sections where, when you throw Cappy onto an enemy, and then it kind of changes something up. You might play as the frog in Odyssey, and then that can change how you move around the level. Here, in Wonder, again, I won't show many of them. You transform into different enemies and different objects that move around the world different and interact with it. And they were the best wonders because it just constantly kept you on your toes on what was coming around the next corner. And then you have the ones that are visually striking, that either change the aesthetic of the level, maybe they turn it dark and all you can see is shadows, or maybe they turn it into this kind of mushroom trip kind of aesthetic where there's just weird colors going off, and yeah, there's just something absolutely magical about the Wonder mechanic. When you find the Wonder Flowers, you just don't know what's going to happen. And that's the best thing about it, is that I was always excited for what the next level would bring. And I haven't felt like that in a 2D Mario game in I don't know how long, because realistically, the new Super Mario Bros. Series were good platformers. Mario controlled well, the level design was fun, and in general, they were just fun games. But there's nothing sticking out about them in my mind, except for Mario DS, because that was the first one that kind of, introduced a new formula. It had the brilliant music that I love, and obviously there's a lot of nostalgia there. But for Mario Wii and Mario U, it just wasn't the same. And even when comparing it to the classic 2D Mario, they just do not hold a candle to Wonder. I played this game in pretty much 2 sittings, and I was running around, finding the flowers. I was finding the coins. I'm going to go for 100%. And the later levels, which I won't show, just get so creative. And honestly, they're kind of difficult. I won't go out and say, you know, I died 20 times in them. But I did die a couple of times, which I appreciated because they were like a nice like culmination of everything I learned in the game. And I was just having great fun. I can't wait to play the special world. I have played a couple of the special world levels. I won't say or show any of them. But I honestly, absolutely adore this game. This gave me the feeling of what a 3D Mario gave me, but in 2D. And to be honest, no 2D Mario has ever given me the same feeling that a 3D Mario has. And it's never even been close. But this successfully updates the 2D Mario formula into a modern era and makes it stand on its own against the 3D counterparts that I don't think 2D Mario has ever been able to do. Now, with all that gushing out of the way, I have to talk about the bosses because the bosses in this game, honestly, are really bad. I always say that 2D platformer boss fights are always pretty bland because the majority of 2D platformers do have bland boss fights. Even the best ones like Sonic 1 and 2 and all the classic Mario games, they all just have very, very boring boss fights. They are fine, but that's about it. And that's exactly what Wonder does. There's probably about 4 or 5 boss fights, and some worlds don't actually end on a boss fight, and you're fighting the same boss, and the arena slightly changes, but ultimately it's the exact same thing, except for the final boss, which I won't show, but the final boss is really cool. It's this big spectacle that includes a lot of music and timing your jumps with platforms that launch with the beat and all that, and it's really cool. I won't show anything, but other than that, all the other boss fights and the mini bosses, which there isn't really mini bosses, there's mini boss stages that end with the same thing, and they're really bad in this game, like seriously bad. They usually don't detract from the game, and I don't think they really detract here because the rest of the game is so strong, but the bosses are honestly terrible. And then as for the new powers, so on the back we have Elephant Mario. You probably won't be able to see this. We have Elephant Mario, we have Bubble Mario, and we have Drill Mario. And Elephant Mario looks cool, and he's kind of fun because he's overpowered, and you basically suck up water, and then you can water some flowers around the level and stuff, and you can also break stuff. Elephant Mario is fine, he looks cool, but he certainly isn't a power-up that I was going for. Like, I really didn't use it outside of the times that I had to use it. Drill Mario was pretty cool because basically you drill into the ground, and then it kind of creates different ways you can explore the level. So you can stick to the ceiling and find a different path off in the distance or something, which I enjoyed. Certainly wouldn't be one of my favorites, but Bubble Mario has quickly become one of my favorite power-ups in Mario, and it's because of how you can use it in the platforming. So with Bubble Mario, he obviously shoots out a bubble that can kill enemies, but also you can use them bubbles as platforms. And while you don't need to use them as platforms, it's just cool to have that lifeline where I can send out a bubble in a pinch and be like, oh crap, I'm gonna fall. Send out a bubble, jump off the platform, and then use the bubble as another jump. And I just like, you know, inventive ways to have different ways of platforming. And I think that leads me on to the badges, which are sort of the main new thing in this game. Where at the start of any level, you can pick a badge. And these either give you different platforming abilities, or they might, you know, you start the level with a super mushroom or something like that, or you're constantly jumping, or even if you want to make the game harder, you can make Mario invisible. And these are really cool. Firstly, the game does a really good job at teaching how to use them because there are bonus stages that get progressively harder, that introduce these new abilities and shows you how to use them. And this is something that I was racking my brain while I was trying to prepare for this review, because in my Sonic Superstars review, I said the new power-ups were crap because the levels weren't designed around them and you were never really forced to use them. And then how you used them was both clunky, and also it was very just in your face. Bam, we're gonna pop this little icon up down the bottom, and then you go, that's where you use it. Here they're implemented slightly differently, where they're almost like an adaptive difficulty kind of thing, where each one kind of has different benefits. Say you have a grappling hook that can save you in a pinch if you're falling, and then you can grapple to a wall. Or my favorite was a vertical wall jump. So in typical Mario fashion, when you do a wall jump, normally you jump and then you jump off it like that. But with the vertical one, it launches you up, and then you can do another wall jump. And that was my favorite. I pretty much used that exclusively. Obviously, I tested the rest of them out, and They're pretty fun, and I like that, you know, they have sort of speedrun potential. But outside of that, I'm not really like a massive fan of abilities that are given to you as optional tools. I would much rather if different levels were built around different abilities, because when I was in those levels with like trying to teach me how to use them abilities, I was having so much fun, because some of them actually kind of get quite challenging in the later worlds. But I kind of wish there was more sort of use for them. There are certain ones that are like, okay, there's one that lets you swim faster, and every single level that has water, that's a must, like an absolute must. And I enjoyed that because it gave me a different way to interact with water, which, I mean, Mario water levels have always been awful, but here they're not, because you have that. And it would be cool if, say, you had a level that's very vertical and it's like, okay, well, you have to use this one here. But instead, they're optional, that kind of give you ways to skip things or kind of make it easier, or in some cases make it harder. They're nowhere near as bad as the one in Superstars. I enjoy using them, and using them is fun, and it kind of gives you different ways to interact with the level. But I still think I would have preferred if there was more levels built around them, because, you know, I did enjoy using them, and I would have liked to see how you can use them to their full potential in true Mario fashion, where they design these cool levels for you to explore. But it just isn't the case. They don't detract from the game. They certainly don't detract from the game the way they do in Superstars. But I do wish they were implemented different. But yes, what more can I say about Mario Wonder? I never thought that a 2D Mario game would ever be in the contention for a Game of the Year. And I think this has very quickly moved its way up the ranks in one of my favorite Mario games I've ever played. Now, in saying that, will it stand the test of time? That's something obviously I can't answer right now, because the best Mario games stand the test of time. And maybe a year or two down the line, after maybe I've played this game again, I'll be able to formulate more in-depth thoughts on it. But right now, I'm thinking this is definitely one of my favorite games of the year. And also potentially, it's definitely my favorite 2D Mario game ever made. Even if I take nostalgia aside from Mario 3, specifically the Game Boy Advance port and Mario DS, this has made me feel and made me smile the way a 3D Mario does. And no other 2D Mario game has ever done that. I absolutely adore Super Mario Bros. Wonder. It's just fantastic. I highly recommend anybody who likes 2D platforms or Mario, just buy this game. Don't feckin', I know I'm saying it at the end of the review, don't watch this review, just play the game. I'm trying to keep this as spoiler free as possible, because I want to preserve those moments for you. Because when you have them moments where you have a cool wonder, or the little flower guy says something funny to you and it makes you smile, you just can't replicate that in many other games. And that's why Mario Wonder is one of the best games of the year, and also one of the best Mario games ever made. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you all on the next video. Goodbye.